Hello students, welcome to the next lecture for the chapter 5, and that is lecture 4. In this lecture we are basically going to study PCB design. What are the different aspects for designing the PCB, that is printed circuit board, which is the heart of many electronic circuits. So let us start with the PCB. So what is a PCB? PCB is nothing but printed circuit board. This is the electronic board that connects circuit components. So it is actually having different electronic components mounted on it, and whenever it is having those electronic components, it is called as printed circuit assembly, PCA. What is the specialty of the PCB? PCBs are rugged, inexpensive, and can be highly reliable. Means they are not that much means rough, means they are sturdy, they cannot be easily broken. So, and again, for manufacturing the PCB you are not requiring too much uh, costing there, so they are inexpensive and they can be highly reliable. Means they will give you a very good result irrespective as compared to the other things. For that we are using the PCB. Another important aspect of the PCB is you can have the mass manufacturing with the PCB. So as you are having the mass manufacturing, you can go for very large production there, and for the mass manufacturing it is also giving you good cheap price for your product, so it is inexpensive, and you can have the professional ways to manufacture the PCB. Okay, now we will go to the fundamentals of basically what is used there in the PCB. What are the different materials used for PCB is given here. Laminate. So what is a laminate? Laminate is nothing but an insulating base. It's a base board. So what is this? It is a glass fabric. So it's a glass fabric basically, and on which you are having resin either with epoxy or polymer material. Okay, so basically laminate is a insulating board. So one plastic board is used there. The typical material used there is a glass fabric along with resin over it, that is epoxy or polymer material which is present on it. It is giving you very good insulating qualities for the board. It will never conduct because of these type of material used in. Then the second part of that PCB is plating. So over that laminate you are having the conducting layers which are typically made of thin copper foil. So on the laminate you are having the plating, that is a copper foil plating is used. It is pressed under proper controlled heat. So by pressing this means you are applying that conductor layer which is exactly present over the laminate. So you are applying the plating over the laminate. The board is typically coated with a solder mask. So what is a solder mask? It is again insulating material that is present over your conducting path. So the board is having first the laminate, then on the laminate you are having copper plating, on the copper plating you are having the solder mask. So between the two insulators you are having the copper layer present in the PCB. Okay, now what is the how actually it is used? For using it to prepare a particular circuit, you are actually doing the etching. Etching means you are providing a certain paths on that copper. On that copper foil, you are providing the certain paths, and the remaining substance is removed by using the etching. Etching is the process where you are leaving only the desired copper traces or pathways, and remaining all copper is removed from the PCB. Okay, then we will go through some fundamental concepts which are used in the PCB. For that, we will go through the different parts of the PCB which we are going to study there, which we are going to use there. The first one is the components, then pads, then traces, which are called as VRs, top metal wear and bottom metal wear. So we'll see these concepts and then we will actually go for PCB designing and PCB manufacturing and other things. So components. What are the components? Components are the actual devices which are used in the circuit. Okay, now this not only includes your normal components like transistor, thyristor, controller, then your some ICs are present there, capacitors are present, LEDs are present, then resistors are present, and many other devices are there. But along with that, it is also consisting of connectors also. This also includes input and output connectors. So for that, you are using different connectors in the circuit. This is one type of the connector, this is another connector. So these are different components which are used. So IO ports including power supply connections are also important in case of PCB design. Next, pads. What are the pads? Pads, you can see these pads in this diagram. So these are called as pads, where actually you are going to perform the soldering. Okay, it is the location that components connect to. So on the pads you are going to place your components. So you will solder the components to the pads on the PCB. So where you are connecting the components on the PCB, those are called as pads. The pads will be connected to different traces. So you can see that this pad is connected to this trace. Okay, and pads have an inner diameter and outer diameter. Means it will have the hole there in the pad where you are going to insert the lead of the component, and it is having the outer diameter where you are having the conducting material between that inner diameter and outer diameter. Okay, around the hole you are having one copper material present. Okay, so for that it is having inner diameter and outer diameter. Then traces. What is a trace? Trace is nothing but this copper foil path, the one which are given there. Okay, for what purpose are used? The traces connect pads together. So this is one pad, this is another pad. They are connected together through the trace. So that it's like a wire. It is a part of the copper foil which is going to connect different pads together. These traces are essentially the wiring of the PCB. So you can say that this is the wiring of the PCB there. Okay, equivalent to wire of the conducting signals. So it is similar to the wire of the conducting signal. Traces are sometimes connected to VRs. Okay, VRs. What is VR? We are going to see next. High current traces should be wide. So what should be the width of the trace? That is decided by how much current you want to pass through that trace. Okay, so if the trace is having high current passing through it, it should be wide so that it can withstand the conduction of that current. Okay, if the trace is not wide, that may get heated and it will blow. Okay, and then you cannot use that trace. So you have to take care that depending upon how much current you are going to pass through the trace, you have to change the width of the trace. Next, signal traces. Signal traces are usually narrower than power or ground traces. Okay, so signal traces are not requiring the much strength. So for that you are using narrower paths as compared to power and ground traces. Then the next one is VRs. So what is a VR? That is given in this diagram. So I will explain you the diagram and then you can easily understand VRs. So this is basically a multi-layer PCB. Okay, this is a multi-layer PCB. For that, VRs are used. VRs is nothing but vertical interconnect access. So this is the one layer. So green color is actually showing you the conducting layer and gray color is showing you the insulating material. So this is the conductor, this is insulator, then again conductor, and then again insulator, and then again conductor. So you are having 3 layers of conductor and 2 layers of insulator. So this is a multi-layer PCB. So what is a VR? A pad with a plated hole connecting traces from one layer of the board to other layers. So this is actually the VRs used in the multi-layer board. So this VR will connect from first layer to the third layer. This will connect from first to the second, like that. So you can have different connections from different layers. For that VRs are used. Then different kinds of VRs are there: through hole plated, not plated, blind, buried, tinted, capped, plugged, like that. You are having a various types of VRs present there. So regarding the VRs, what you can do is attempt to minimize the VR used in your PCB. You should not use, if in a very rare circumstance, if you require, then only use VR. And sometimes component leads also can be used as VRs there. So there is no need of using the separate conducting material used there for the VR. Okay, then there are basically 2 layers are considered there for the board. One is the top layer and second is the bottom layer. So on the top layer, what you're having different components present there on the PCB. Most of the components reside on the top layer. Okay, fewer traces. So traces are less, components are more. For the top layer, traces are less and components are more. Components are soldered to the pads on the top layer of the PCB and those are having higher current densities. So for that, top layer is used. Then the second one is the bottom layer. Bottom metal layer. Here the components are less. So few components on this side. So you are not having the components. So you can see that again the same diagram, some diagram I have referred to. This green color is showing you the conducting layer and white color is showing you the insulating layer. So this is top layer. Then layer 2 is ground layer. Layer 3 is again signal layer. Layer 4 is signal and ground, and then this is layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4, layer 5, or bottom layer. Like that you are having the different layers present there. Okay, and here you can consider the bottom layer. What we are having there in the bottom layer, very less components are present in the bottom layer and more traces are present there in the bottom layer. Means connections are more on the bottom layer, components are less. So what is done in the bottom layer? Soldering is done on the bottom layer. Next is a jumper. So what do you mean by jumper? Sometimes what happens, you want to make the connections, but there may be some cross wires connections in your circuit, and there you cannot put traces on your PCB. In that case, you can use the jumpers like this. Often, many signal wires need to exist in too small of a space and must overlap. So you can say that there is one cross connection or cross trace is present there, and you cannot put their trace. So in that case, running traces on different PCB layers is an option, but instead of that you can go for jumpers. Instead of adding one layer in the PCB, you can go for jumpers, and jumpers will provide you the same thing. They will connect different signals. Next, solder mask. It protect. What is the solder mask? You can see here. This is the conducting area. Okay. So you are having this pads present there. These are the traces present there, and the pads are connected to the traces. Okay, here this is one pad, this is another pad, this is connected to the trace. So except from your pads, all other area is coated with solder mask. So this is a green material, this is insulating material which is going to overlap the conducting layer or traces on the PCB. It protects copper traces on the outer layer from the corrosion. So basically, solder mask is used to avoid the corrosion of the conducting layer. Areas that should not be soldered may be covered with polymer resist solder mask coating. So wherever you are not using anything with the conducting area, you have to coat it with the solder mask coating. It is designed to keep solder only in certain areas. It prevents solder from binding between conductors and thereby creating short circuits. So basically, it will avoid the corrosion and it will avoid the short circuit present in the PCB. Next, seal screen. Seal screen is actually going just given there to use the different terminologies present on the PCB. So if you want to name the components, if you want to draw the size of the component, if you want to identify where you want to put your component, then you are using this seal screen. So what it does, it is nothing but printing on the solder mask. So what is a seal screen? It is having the printing on the solder mask to designate the component locations. It is giving you actually the readable information about component part numbers and placement. It is used or it is useful in assembling, testing and servicing the circuit board. So it is helpful in assembling, testing and servicing the circuit board. Then the next is a multi-layer PCB. So the same thing we have discussed in the previous slide. More than a top and bottom layer, there are more than that different layers are present there. Typically, there will be a power plane, ground plane, top layer and bottom layer. So you can see that this is the top layer, this is the bottom layer, ground plane, power, and then you are having the signal wires. Signal layers are present. Sometimes signal layers are added as needed. So depending upon the requirement, signal layers may be added in the PCB. So this is called as multi-layer PCB. Okay. Again, sometimes RF planes made of more expensive materials are added. So what happens for radio frequencies? Sometimes you are requiring some typical type of the oxide ferrite core type of the material is used there. So in that case, this is another type of the layer is added in the multi-layer PCB. Now, while you are designing the PCB, what are the different issues which are considered there? Those are given there. So the first one is whenever you are designing the PCB, the first one is the component size, second is the heat dissipation, Third is the input and output, where you are giving the input, where you are taking the output. And the fourth one is mounting points. Where are the mounting points on your PC? These are the consideration factor for the or design issues for the uh, PCB. So the first one is component size. Make sure components will actually fit. So you have to consider the dimension of the component, otherwise what will happen? In your layout, the dimension is less and actually the component may be of bigger size. That will create the problem. Then the second one is this especially applies for circuits that require high component densities. So if you are having the high component densities, you have to take care of these things. Some components come in multiple sizes, SMT or through hole. Sometimes you can get tall and narrow caps or short and wide capacitors. So it depends what type of the component you are using there. So you have to be very keen about the component size you are going to use in your project, in your PCB. Then the next one is heat dissipation. So naturally, many devices are going to generate the heat during the working. So for that, for the heat dissipation, we are using the heat sinks. So for what is actually the heat sink does? Heat sink dissipates heat of the component. Okay, it is not removing the heat, but it just moves it. So what happens? Some components may get hot. Make sure you get a large enough heat sink. So whenever you use a heat sink, it is going to move the heat away from that particular component and it will save that component. Okay, so whenever you are using this heat sink, you have to specify, you have to go through the data sheet which are actually specifying the size of the heat sink. A short circuit may result when two devices share the same heat sink. So normally you should avoid this thing. Instead of mounting the different devices on same heatsink, you should use separate heatsinks for separate devices. So this is another issue there. First issue we have seen component size. Second is the heat dissipation or heat sinks. Third is mounting points. The PCB needs to be mechanically secured to the something. It could be the chassis, which consisting of metal frame on which the circuit boards and other electronic components are mounted. That may be another PCB or that may be attachments to a heatsink. So different types of the mounting is available, or that may be the case in case of your PCB. That may be the chassis, that may be another PCB, or that may be heatsink on which you are going to mount the PCB. So that also you have to take care when you are going to design the PCB. Then the pre-work. Okay. So these things we have seen, component mounting points. The next point is the pre-work. So first, before going for anything related to the PCB, you have to first check the feasibility of the circuit. So to check the feasibility of the circuit, we are using the simulation. The first thing is you have to simulate your circuit and you have to make sure that circuit worked in simulations. So the simulation should give you perfect output. Then you can go to the PCB. Thoroughly test the prototype and make sure the circuit worked on the breadboard. Have all the data sheets handy for every component. So data sheets you have to keep it handy for every component and play around with the placement of the component. Okay, then the simulations. Important to simulate the circuit before building them. Allow margin for component tolerances. Avoid using precise components. Example, a PWM controller that requires exact 10 volt DC to work and will fail if there is 10.01 volt. So you cannot give such a small tolerance there. You have to definitely give a good tolerance for your circuit. Okay, so instead of using precise components, give some tolerance there. High performance circuits or SMT device requires PCBs and should be simulated extensively first. So this care you have to take before going for some critical circuits. You have to first test it, you have to first simulate it, then you have to go with PCB. Next, what are the steps in the PCB design? So the first one is apply photoresist on conductive surface of the properly cut PCB. So you have to take the PCB and you have to apply the photoresist on the conductive surface. Then the second is place a negative image of the artwork of a single trace on a photoresist. Third is expose the artwork to an ultraviolet light or use proper etching technique so as to remove unwanted photoresist as well as conducting path. So first part is you have to apply the photoresist. Second part is apply the negative image of artwork. Third part is you have to do the etching. For that, expose the artwork to UV rays and it will remove the unwanted conducting material from the PCB. Then the fourth one is do appropriate drilling and the fifth one is do soldering of components. So this will complete your PCB design. Now your PCB design is ready to work. Okay. Then the next one is do visual inspection of the components. Do visual inspection of the components and the soldering quality. Replace loose components if any and do the resoldering. Remove spreaded solder if any. Then you can go for testing of the PCB using standard test signals setup. Then you perform the environmental testing and go for the quality checking. So these are the steps in the PCB design. Okay. So this is in short given there how it actually looks the PCB. So for that different stages of the PCB design are given. So here negative film is generated. Then this is a bare PCB where we are having the on the base it's a insulating material glass epoxy over which you are having this copper foil is present there. Okay, so this copper foil is nothing but copper clad which is present on the insulating glass epoxy material. Then you will have to drill the holes in the PCB according to the layout. Next, apply copper in hole barrels. Means you have to fulfill all the holes using the copper. Apply photosensitive material to the to develop selected areas from the panel. So first you have created the holes, then you have to create the pads and the traces. So for that you are doing the etching process. So whenever you apply the photosensitive material and when you expose it to the UV rays, this is going to be etching the additional material from your PCB. So so what it does, it remove dry film and each exposed copper. Tin protects the copper circuitry from being etched. So only the copper will be removed where the photoresist is not available and it will perform the etching for rest all other copper material. Then once this is completed, you have to coat or you have to protect traces and pads from corrosion. Okay, so for that solder mask is applied there to the area of the entire board with the exception of solder pads. You are not applying the solder mask to the solder pads. Then apply solder to the pads. You have to apply the solder to the pads. Okay. Once the solder is applied to the pads, go for the white letter marking using screen printing process. So this is silk screen is applied over it, which will give you the proper marking of all the component values, their places, their notch, and other things related to all the components that is given in this screen printing process. Next, what are the design considerations of the PCB? Okay, the overall PCB board design consisting of two parts. One is design of the board and second is the layout of the board. Now for designing the board and layout of the board, following parameters are considered. So the first one is hardware specification, placement of components and interconnection of the components. Okay, you should have the hardware specifications, you should know the placement of the components, and you should know the interconnection of the components. Okay, now for what are the requirements of the PCB design? So for that there are total 4 types of the requirements are there. First is the mechanical design, second is the electrical design, third is the functional design requirements, and fourth is the environment design requirement. So these are the 4 types of the requirements used for the PCB design. So students, here we will stop the first part of this lecture related to the PCB design. In the next lecture we will continue with the second part of the PCB design. So students, we will stop here.